lovely state of Iowa. And I'm also joined by my colleagues, Tom and Sarah, who I think will pop up on the screen soon. And they're based on campus in the UK. And we'll also be joined later on during the presentation by two of our former scholars and then also a current Fulbright scholar. So without any further ado, I will share my screen and we'll get the party started. Oh. And there will be opportunities for questions at the end as well, but feel free to pop any questions that you have in the chat as well, and we'll do our best to get them answered. So starting off, if you've never been to the UK or have no idea where University of Southampton are, we are just southwest of London, roughly about an hour and a half on public transport, in a nice leafy area down near the coast. As you can see, some of the pictures from our campus, we are pretty green, I must say, all over the campus. Here's a shot of our shopping centre, West Quay. In the winter, across Christmas time, they have a nice large ice rink that goes up, which is pretty nice to kind of spend an evening or a Saturday afternoon just spending time with some friends or family. We are also home to, I'm so sorry, that is my dog. We got construction going on our street, so he's a little nervous. But we are joined in the city of Southampton by the Premier League Football Club, Southampton, who are a short bus journey away from us, which is pretty cool. And that's a good opportunity. If you like watching soccer or football, or if you just want to spend a day out with some friends, it's a good place to go to. And we're also located quite close to the coast and the Jurassic Coast. So we've got some beautiful shots of the from the Channel and the Isle of Wight as well, which you can get to quite nicely. We've also got the New Forest, which is a stone's throw away from us as well, and they've got some really cute quintessential English towns, I must say, and it's just good to again spend the day there exploring some of the old high streets. So the city of Southampton itself, as I mentioned, is about an hour and a half or an hour 20 minutes away from London by train. We have also got an airport close by, which you can get to roughly about 34 European cities, and then also 6 UK cities as well. So if you want to take a weekend away and go to Amsterdam or Paris or Berlin, that's an opportunity for you to do so with an airport nearby. We are one of the top 3 cities to live in Britain. We have a rich history, once a Roman port and a medieval hub. And we're quite a young city, so roughly about 20% of our population is aged roughly between 15 and 24, which is one better than the national average, which is 19%. And as I mentioned, just an hour away from London. So these are our campuses. So we've got 6 campuses based in the UK and then also 1 in Malaysia. So we've got Highfield campus, which is our main campus, and then the heart, which is the heart of the university. Just a short walk away, we've got Boulderwood campus, which is home of engineering. We've got the University Hospital. We've also got Avenue campus for humanities, Winchester School of Art, and our waterfront campus, which is National Oceanography Centre, Southampton. And just to kind of give you a snapshot of where they are around the city, that is pretty much where they are. So they're kind of dotted around the city of Southampton, but in particular with Highfield and all the way down to National Oceanography Centre, you can get the Unilink bus, which will take you to all the campuses. So the University of Southampton, we were a Russell Group founding member, which is the 24 leading UK universities. We produce roughly about 68% of the UK's world leading research. So that's a group of universities. We're very competitive. We've got a very national and international reputation. And we teach a quarter of all UK undergraduates, a third of all postgraduate students, and more than a third of engineers. 58% of physical scientists and 63% of mathematicians who are very well established in our teaching. So we've got 159 years of the animations of gone crazy here, but yes, we've got 159 years of history. We're a top 15 UK university, ranked 78th of universities worldwide. We have over 8,000 international students from 135 countries, and which is roughly about 36% of our total student body. 92% of our research is world leading or internationally excellent, which was the Research Excellence Framework in 2021. And we're also a founding member, as I said, of the Russell Group Universities and also the World Universities Network. So we've got pretty well-established links with universities worldwide. So these are some of our faculties, and in the next slide, you'll see the course breakdown of what courses are involved in all of these. So we've got Faculty Arts and Humanities, Engineering and Physical Sciences, Environmental and Life Sciences, our medicine course, which of course only includes medicine, and then also our a Faculty of Social Sciences as well. So these are the course breakdowns where you would expect to find all of our courses and where they're housed. So with some of our top ranked courses, we're top ranked in aeronautical and aerospace engineering. We are ranked 4th and 55th in the UK and the world. For civil engineering, 7th and 4th. As you can see, we've got 14 top 10 subjects in the Complete University Guide of 2023, and then 7 top 10 subjects in the Guardian's ranking in 2022. So these are some of our top ranked courses, which are pretty good to be about, especially things like music and engineering. So most of our courses, you'll get a chance to work for a year in a business of your choice. You spend an entire year there in employment. You get to develop professional skills and workplace experience, valuable experience to demonstrate to future employers and enhance employability. And most placements are paid with roughly an average salary of 15 to 18,000. And this is all supported by our careers and employability service on campus. So as you can see here, we've got one of our students who spent a year in employment at Urban Outfitters. So we support our students. We've got the Student Hub, which is available 24/7 via telephone or online chat. And some of the offers that some of the support they offer include kind of the Student Disability and Inclusion Team for transition programs, pre-arrival appointments to discuss adjustments or exam arrangements, study skills. And then also there's groups and workshops including managing exam anxiety and extra support to access specialist mental health and wellbeing support as well. So this is all how we support our students. We've got some state-of-the-art sports facilities. So we've got a 25 meter swim in our 6-lane pool. Sorry, my words are getting completely mixed up. We've got 20 grass and synthetic pitches if you play field hockey or anything like that. And then we've also got 170 fitness stations which students are able to use, and that's housed in our 8.5 million sports complex. Have we got, I'm going to stop right there. Have we got Greg in the room?
Mubarak, I don't think Greg's joined us yet, but I think I've seen Chloe pop up on the chat.
Yep.
I might be wrong, but I think I've seen Chloe.
And Amanda is here as well. So we'll start with Amanda. So, okay. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, yes, I'm on.
Perfect. Welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself, and we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Ciroli. I'm from North Carolina. I was the 2019-2020 U.S. Fulbright to Southampton. I did a master's degree master's of science degree in oceanography. So I was down there at the waterfront campus, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I was there for a year. Unfortunately, it was through COVID, but I still made the most of it. I absolutely love my time at Southampton. And what else did you want me to say more about?
And how did you end up at the University of Southampton?
So my undergrad was at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, and we had an undergraduate partnership with Southampton for marine biology and marine sciences. And I unfortunately was not able to do that during my undergrad, and I became really interested in the University of Southampton. So I guess I heard about the University of Southampton through my undergrad, and then I decided to apply for grad school and any type of scholarship that would help me get there.
Perfect. And what are you doing now?
I am an oceanographer at Stennis Space Center in Mississippi, and more specifically, I'm a field-going oceanographer that's studying sediment dynamics and kind of coastal morphology. And I go out on a lot of boats and into the fields and input instruments and scientific recording instruments into the ocean and collect all of the data that's needed for research.
That sounds pretty fascinating. And what was your favorite part about being at Southampton?
My favorite part, just really the people and just going out with my classmates and enjoying the local town. There's so many things to do, the downtown area, the shopping area, Christmas. I love all of the decorations. It's basically just going out and enjoying the town with my classmates and my friends.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you. We will get back to you. I've just seen that Greg has joined as well. Thank you,
Okay.
Amanda. I hope it's not too hot in that car.
It's a little warm.
Perfect. Greg. Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I just joined a few minutes late. Also, sorry if it's like a little bit bright or anything, but also, hi, Amanda. We haven't spoken in a while. It's actually really surprising to see Amanda on here. Can you hear me okay by chance?
Yeah, we can hear you absolutely fine. I can hear you fine. I'm not sure. Can everyone else hear Greg fine?
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, sound good.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Sorry,
Perfect.
I missed, like, there was like, do you want us to do like a quick introduction or something? Is that like where you're asking?
If you'd like to quickly introduce yourself, your story, how you got to Southampton.
Yeah. I'll do it very briefly, real quick. So I was the Fulbright scholar right after Amanda, actually. So that was during the 2020-2021 year. Currently, I'm actually now at Duke University, and I'm actually sitting outside my lab right now. Well, I got to Southampton actually through my my fellowship advisor at the University of Rochester. So I studied audio and music engineering at the University of Rochester in upstate New York. And I was really into acoustics, really into music, and I still am till this day. And my fellowship advisor, she had reached out to me. She's like, "Hey, you should come talk real quick about like potential opportunities after you graduate." And I was like, "All right, cool." And she put down the University of Southampton on her like table when I walked in, and it was the acoustical engineering masters. And I'd heard about the program before, but I had no idea about it really at all. And she had actually toured University of Southampton a few years back and saw ISVR. So that's where the master's through is through Institute of Sound and Vibration Research. And she was like, "I think you'd be a great fit for this. You should definitely apply for it." And so that's where it's kind of began for me. And throughout the whole year, I started my application. That was during my junior year and senior year of college. And yeah, that's when I applied, and that's when I went to Southampton. So that's just a quick backstory of that, but I can explain more later.
Amazing. Perfect. And what are you doing currently?
So right now I'm currently at Duke University. I'm doing my PhD in electrical computer engineering. I'm currently a second year going to my third year. and I specifically focus on electroacoustics or acoustic metamaterials. So essentially what I do is I manipulate the sound waves that either enter like a microphone or come out of like a loudspeaker, or anything that that environment can kind of interact with, so whether that be air or water. So essentially all wave-based phenomenon when it comes to sound. And that's my research currently.
That's very interesting. And what was your favorite part about being at Southampton?
So that's actually a good question. I would definitely say my experience at Southampton, and Amanda got to experience this a little bit too. It was definitely unique in one aspect. It was different because it was also during COVID. So it was during the pandemic. It was during when the UK had all the lockdowns. So initially it was actually pretty tough. But the one thing I actually really came to love was the one thing that was really nice was all the international students that were there. So a lot of us actually played basketball together. And it was quite a bit of fun that we would actually go down to, like, I forgot the name of the park, but it was one of the parks up near the university. And I'll have to look it up, but a bunch of us would go there and just play basketball during the day, just any other day. It was just a lot of fun. And I also, and this was actually through Amanda, I really enjoyed volunteering in the city, volunteered at a cafe. And the people I met through that actually became like my family in a sense. And they were awesome and like just made me feel at home even during that entire time. So yeah, I would definitely say that was probably my best experience of what I really enjoyed about it.
Perfect, amazing. Thank you very much, Greg. And we'll be sure to get back to you and hear more about your story as well.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. And then finally, last but not least, we have Chloe, who is a current Fulbright scholar. I don't think Chloe is with us right now. So what we will do for the time being, we will go on with the presentation. If you have got any questions so far, please do fire them away. Can I get Greg and Amanda, if you guys wouldn't pop back on screen again? Oh no, wait, we do have Chloe. Chloe has just joined us. Hi, Chloe.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. If you would like to quickly introduce yourself and your story, or how you got to Southampton.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a current student at the University of Southampton in the College of Medicine, pursuing a master's in public health. I previously graduated from Penn State in the States, where I studied psychology, and I ended up at Southampton because I applied through a Fulbright fellowship, which I was awarded. And I can go more into this later, but I specifically picked Southampton because I was really interested in the program, and I liked the student support they had and the range of classes and the research opportunities here.
Perfect. And obviously the question I asked everyone else was what you're doing now. But I'll ask you, what is your favorite thing about Southampton currently? Both Amanda and Greg were at Southampton during kind of the COVID pandemic. So with you, it's slightly different now that UK is more open. What's your favorite part? Have you managed to explore the New Forest and kind of the coast?
Yeah, definitely. I would say Southampton's in an absolutely beautiful area of the United Kingdom. I've been around to the New Forest, which I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but it's just this gorgeous national park with lots of horses and wildlife, and it's just really interesting to walk around that in the neighboring towns. It's also Southampton's pretty close to London, so I was just up there this weekend to watch the coronation. But Southampton itself has a lot of really interesting things to do. Being on the port, there's a lot of fun opportunities to do stuff on the water. I would say my favorite unexpected thing about the University of Southampton is how international it is. So when I came here, I was really excited to have the opportunity to connect with students from the United Kingdom, which I've been able to do, of course. But I've also had a lot of opportunities to connect with students from all over the world, which is something I didn't expect. And I think that's just something that's really cool that I didn't have available at my American university.
Amazing, perfect. So we've had two questions so far. Can you tell us more about the student housing arrangements, and do graduate students have access to university housing? So yes, we do have specific postgraduate accommodation, which is available for postgraduate students. So that is kind of specifically an option that you can choose. And with international students, now Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm aware that I know undergraduate students will be guaranteed accommodation as long as they have their accommodation application in at a certain time. Would this be the same as postgraduate students, Sarah?
Yes, that's my understanding. We would encourage everyone to try and get their accommodation application in as soon as possible to avoid disappointment, but generally say that if you've applied by the 1st of July, you're more than likely to get the accommodation.
Thank you, Sarah. Are lectures weekly rather than multiple times per year, with smaller seminar or study sessions and grade determined exams at the end of the year? Chloe, Greg, or Amanda, do you guys want to answer that one? Were your lectures weekly or?
I guess my answer to this is still kind of skewed because it was also during COVID. So, I mean, it was kind of like, what do you call it? Asynchronous. So
Yeah.
essentially, I didn't really have weekly lectures, but I don't really know how they do it now. It was like that all the way through until I finished. Only until like probably the last month that I was there that we started doing in person. And then it was like probably once or twice a week. So it was kind of just like, yeah, I guess weekly. But for me, it was just an odd time. So I don't know if anyone else can really answer it though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say,
Or you can
go ahead, Chloe.
Okay, I would say it definitely depends on the program you're in. And if you're curious, you can reach out and hear more about the specific features of your program. But in my case, all of my classes have been in person and they're once a week, except for I did take one course that was over 4 days. So then we met for 4 days straight, and then that was it for the whole semester. So it really depends. But for the most part, it's once a week.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to Chloe there. I think it really depends on the program that you're interested in, and each program will have kind of a head coordinator that could be reached out to for more information. Kind of similar to Greg, I had a unique situation there with COVID, but my first semester was unaffected, and we had classes every day, kind of standard kind of college classes where you just have a schedule. They'll meet either every other day or every day, or it just really depends on the program and the course that you're in.
And
Yeah.
what were your assessments like, in terms of kind of how the modules were assessed?
Again, I would kind of say it depends on the program. Mine I had a lot more applied courses, and those were, you probably work towards an essay or an assignment every week, and then it was due, they might give you the weekend and it was due, you know, the next Monday. I had a couple of introduction to basic science courses applied to ocean science. And so those, it would just have one major final at the end of the semester. And I think that is kind of the way that it's typically done for undergrad. I'm not sure if it's the same for all of the grad school classes, but I would say for grad school, typically there is an assessment more frequently than just the one final.
Thank you very much. Did you have something to say there?
Yeah, I've had a bit of the opposite experience. So we have formative assessments, which don't count towards your overall grade, and then summative assessments, which do. And almost every single one of my courses has just been one summative assessment at the end of the module. So that really is your one opportunity to show what you've learned. And I think it's quite different from more American-based education, because you're not necessarily taught to the test as much. So yeah, you have to apply your knowledge a bit more, which can be challenging, but definitely can challenge you to really understand the material. And I would also say the grading scale is very different in the UK. Just overall, you should expect much lower grades than you would have in the United States, but that shouldn't be something to deter you at all, because it's just a different system. It's not better or worse. And any future employers would understand that it's a different scale. And it specifically says on transcripts, you know, the marking scheme with like distinction, merit, or pass, instead of like A, B, C, D, F.
I think Greg is nodding in agreement.
Yeah, basically what both of them just said is kind of similar to what I had as well. For me, my department, we had, for some classes, assignments that were just like, if you want to do this to learn, sure, go for it. But I remember like my fundamentals of acoustics was like essentially just one final, which I thought was a bit tough. But some of my other classes, like noise control engineering, were like very hands-on, or architectural acoustics, where we actually went and like did like impulse responses of like the Turner Sims Hall, and then we actually had to analyze all of that, and like that was one of our big final culminating projects. Or like noise control engineering was like, we have this generator, how do we make it less noisy? We had to do like all the design around it. So there was a lot of very applicable like industry kind of like things with research as well. But then he also had other classes with like fundamentals of acoustics, which was like simply just a test, like some assignments here and there. So it depends. It really depends.
And a question for the three of you. I think moving from the US and moving to the UK, there's obviously some challenges. What were your experiences? What was that transition like, being far from home in an entirely new country? And then also, particularly for Greg and Amanda, you came during a time where everything was flipped upside down. So what would you advise in terms of just kind of transitioning over into the UK?
I guess I'll start with that. Of course, I'm the one that has a sort of different experience with this, because you could say almost my entire time there was during COVID. So going to the UK for my Fulbright was actually the first time that I ever left the United States. So that was also kind of pretty big for me. And I remember when I got on the plane that the flight attendant looked at me, and it was like on a huge Boeing, and like we had clearance to get on the plane, because I mean, you couldn't really travel then. So I had the entire back of the plane to myself, because there's only like 10 of us on the entire plane. It was really hilarious, and I just took up the whole back. It was great. So I had a lot of room, and given that I'm a pretty big guy, so it was actually really nice having that for like a good like 5 hours. But anyway, when I showed up, I was actually very fortunate that Amanda was still there. So Amanda actually connected me with a bunch of people, and I had met her. We had hung out a few times, so that was really nice. but it was definitely tough. It was really difficult, especially like trying to like figure out like, oh, like banking, like just the everyday like adult life stuff. Like, oh, where do I have to go shopping? How does the currency work here? How do I pay for this? How do I pay for that? You got to remember to look across the street the other way because the cars drive differently. And so it was definitely a fun time figuring that out. And also me being from like a very small part of like upstate New York, I always had a car to get everywhere. And then for when I lived in the UK, I figured out how to use public transportation for everything. I'd even drive while I was there. So I really enjoyed that. And all of that was just a learning experience. And granted, it was during COVID. I had a lot of fun actually still, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely challenges that come along with it, especially when you go to a new country and you need to figure out like everything that comes to like daily living. But it was a great learning experience, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Yeah, I agree with Greg. It is definitely a nerve-wracking experience. I love traveling and I've traveled a lot with my family, but it was my first time like living abroad for a while. And that's where I love the scholarship community. Because they typically, if you're not coming in when the nation is shut down, bring in everybody in the scholarship cohort all across the UK to have an orientation so that you guys get to meet, and then you just have friends, you know, across the entire country and in kingdom that you can go visit, you can still keep in touch with, you can, you know, kind of relate, keep a text thread, and if you don't know anyone in the city yet, like you can just keep, you still have someone that is on land with you there. And then yeah, just figuring out public transportation, I'd say that is definitely the best thing ever. It's public transportation in the UK is much far beyond what it is in the US. I guess it really depends on where you are in the US, but here in the South, it's non-existent. And I definitely recommend using the public transportation and just exploring the country. But yeah, it's an exciting time, but also a nerve-wracking time. And if you just get out there and get out of your head and meet people, then it's nothing too scary.
Yeah, I can definitely echo that. And it also is really nice that when you do make that transition to moving to the United Kingdom, since you're in a student body, you have access to resources, especially given how international the university is. I'm sure there's many people and staff on campus who are especially equipped for helping manage that transition. I did not have an experience to meet the other people in my scholarship because my visa didn't come on time. So I would say be really, really proactive with your visa. There's a lot of unanticipated curb bumps you may experience. I know like 1/3 of the Fulbright scholars didn't make it to orientation because our visas didn't come in time. Some of which could have been avoidable and some of it maybe wasn't as avoidable. I didn't probably see an American for the first 5 weeks since I came to Southampton. I was definitely surprised that there wasn't really an American student population at all, but it did kind of force me to really assimilate and meet domestic students, which I think really helped. And then I also want to say that joining the societies, which are basically just student organizations, was a really great way to help me make friends and connect, and helped a lot with that initial transition. So I definitely can't recommend that enough. And you don't need to have experience in the society topic before joining. It's really relaxed, and it can be a great social environment.
Perfect. Thank you guys for those top tips, especially Chloe, being proactive with visas, as I know as I went the other way, and there are some unexpected curveballs that visas will throw at you. Again, if you've got any other questions, and feel free to pop up on screen or send your questions in for sure. Sarah is typing a message. Belinda, did you have a question at all? Or I see you popped up on screen, so I was just making sure that double checking to see if you had a question.
No, I just wanted to say hi to Greg.
I didn't know you're in here, Belinda. It's so nice to hear your voice, and yeah, no, it's great to. I mean, I wish I could see you, but no, it's amazing. I haven't seen you in a while, but no, it's awesome that you're here.
Sarah's just put in a link for our Students' Union, and there are over 249 different societies, whether academic, interest groups, whatever that might be. There are a society that you can join. You can always create your own one as well, which is the fun part. You get to be the founder and the president of your society, whether that's coffee drinking, tea tasting, donut eating, whatever that might be. That really is a society out there for you. Did any of you join a society whilst you were here? What was it? What was your experience?
That it's actually good they brought that up with the whole like society thing. I completely forgot about that. So when I was there, I was actually part of the Invent Plus group. So the Invent Plus group is the like engineering group on campus that does like outreach. And so one of the things, and actually I'm still continuing to do a lot of things now that kind of stem from that here at Duke. And so what I started there was with that group, I created a loudspeaker project for students in secondary school around the city of Southampton. So I think over 200 or like 250 of those packets were you had an entire kit on how to build your own loudspeaker, like a booklet and everything. And that was actually sent around the city to a bunch of students. And I think it was specifically for something called like Dandelion Day. And then actually when things started opening back up, we actually went and did some like volunteering as well in person, like teach kids like just simple engineering projects and things like that. So actually that was something that was huge. I spent so much time in that. Actually in my room on campus, I actually had like copper wire strewn around the entire place because I was trying to roll it up and trying to figure out the exact length we needed to build this like one speaker, and like I had tools everywhere. It was actually a lot of fun. It was a big mess, but it was great. So that was yeah, I was part of that group the moment I showed up, and actually still talk to him sometimes to this day. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I'm on the athletics and cross country team. And I do want to specify if you've heard anything about American sports teams at the collegiate level. In the United Kingdom, it's completely different. There's no need to be intimidated to join a collegiate sport, even if you've never done it in your entire life. It's not like NCAA Division I, and you can really make the most of it. And people join the sports for different reasons. So, for example, I practice 6 days a week, so I really enjoy the competition aspect and traveling to different parts of the United Kingdom with my friends and teammates. And other people are more interested in the casual runs or the social aspects, which is totally fine. It's all accepted. And I really recommend joining a sports society. They tend to be quite social and really diverse, so you can meet lots of different people who are studying different things. And that's definitely been my biggest social aspect, even more so than my postgraduate course.
That is really interesting to know that. I would have been terrified to join a competitive sport. I what I really like, I was part of the swing dancing society. I really enjoyed that. But what I really enjoyed was that I think for a week, maybe 2 weeks at the beginning of each semester, they have this introduction to every society. So it's just free to go try out and do the introduction classes. So I really took advantage of that. I did everything from jumping on a trampoline to ballroom dancing to any other kind of somewhat interesting sport you can think of. Um, Besides swing dancing that really interested me, I was involved with the Rotary clubs in town, and we were trying to get one established as a society, which I'm not sure if it really took off or not, but there are plenty of Rotary clubs within the community itself. And that's how I started volunteering at the game cafe that's just down the street from the university, and introduced Greg to all of those amazing people. Um, and yeah, and throughout COVID, the game cafe had an initiative to cook meals. You're gonna have to help me here, Greg. That use kind of like the imperfect food type conditions of the foods. and cook meals for the less fortunate or the first responders, the ones that were like very slammed by the COVID pandemic. So it was something to help reduce food waste as well as help those in need and create a community experience out of that. And that really helped me going through the main part of the COVID experience, the pandemic.
I would say, just to go off that, Amanda, that still is actually what Tia does till this day. She takes all the perishing foods, and actually it's because her father worked at a warehouse, and so he had connections with a bunch of people, and so he was taking all the perishing foods from all these like markets and stuff, and then bringing it to Tia, and then Tia would actually come up with ideas to create all these different dishes because she didn't know what she was going to get. And what's actually really cool about it now is, granted, now it's done with COVID, she still does, I still think she does a part of that, but now she's made it into a business, which is really neat. And it's just awesome to see that. So yeah, this is kind of to add a bit more to it.
Perfect. Thank you guys for that. I think I have one penultimate question for you guys and put you on the spot. What was one thing that kind of really made you look at your subject in a different? What's one thing that you learned from an academic that was really stuck with you now that, obviously, Greg, you're working towards a PhD, and Amanda, you are working in the field. So what was one thing that really opened your eyes about the industry that you wanted to get into? I really have put you on the spot on this one.
So I would say for me that, and I even said this, I still agree with this to this day, that doing my master's in acoustical engineering before doing my PhD focus in acoustics now was very important to my development as a researcher and a scientist now. The capability of me to go in and set up a very complex experiment or use this certain simulator that I had to teach myself when I was at Southampton. I used, actually, literally, I was just in my office working on it just now until I came down to do this. Like, I taught myself a lot of things that were fundamental to what I do now in my research and my PhD that would have taken me a lot more time to actually get the grasp of and to actually get through if I hadn't dedicated all that time during my year at Southampton. So even with that as well, the people that had industry experience and very specific focuses in acoustics at Southampton made a huge difference in what I learned as well, because I asked them so many questions. Like, they expect me in every single lesson to ask a question, even if it was online. It didn't matter. And so I learned a lot when it came to some practical and fundamentals about acoustics that you can't really find in your standard education here in the States. So that was very important and actually helped me a lot when it came to my PhD now.
I
Thank
think
you,
I'd
Greg.
honestly say something similar. I think, especially down at the NOC, the waterfront campus, the Oceanography Center at Southampton has been world renowned, and they are known for their applied sciences to ocean science. Essentially, they go out into the field and gather the data. They run the underwater robots to explore the sea floor and all of the underwater volcanoes that are happening. So I think it's definitely the applied aspect that really opened my eyes to the possibilities of how the ocean and my field is applicable to society itself. And I never really was great at geology, and I study sediment movement. So just learning the principles of things, and then kind of to backtrack a little bit, physics is my background. So just seeing how everything applies to the water and the environment in our society, it just keeps blowing my mind and opening my mind to the possibilities that we can learn from, essentially.
Perfect. Thank you. So just in the chat, we got a question about how did you connect with Fulbrighters in other parts of the UK? Were there events? And then also, is there a cross meet point between Marshall and Fulbright? And at Southampton, we have a welcome reception where we encourage all scholars from different schemes to meet and take part and get to know each other. So thank you for that answer, Sarah, and Chloe as well. Who just said many of us have met up several times to connect socially and explore each other's cities. So that's kind of a fun little family to have when you're thousands of miles away from home in an entirely different country, and in some cases different cultures. I've experienced here in the US, it is somewhat very different. And my final question for the three of you is if you can give future University of Southampton students one piece of advice, what would that be? Greg is very deep in thought there.
I would say that's how I always am. I think I've had this kind of mentality even before I went to Southampton. I would actually even say I would take an opportunity, even if it would like almost make you feel like uncomfortable in a sense. So like for me, and what I mean by that is like something that's almost like in a way towards like academia or like your researcher in a sense. Like for me, it was like I didn't know. I remember Belinda reached out to me. She's like, "Hey, you should apply for this Fulbright experience." And I was like, "Oh, what is that? Like, leave the country? I've never done that before. What does that even mean? Like, I don't know what that experience is. I don't know what to expect." And I was very hesitant about it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I've never left. I've always been around my family. Like, it scared me. So I would definitely say like taking that opportunity, like I would say almost in a way impacted my life drastically, even till now, and the things that I'm doing now. So I guess that'd be my piece of advice, because even when I showed up at Southampton, it was the same thing. Like, oh, I didn't know if I wanted to be involved with like the engineering group or doing outreach. I was like, oh, was that going to consume my time from research? Oh, is it going to? No, it actually helped me a lot when it came to understanding more about my research and the things that I could do to apply to be applicable outside of that to help people learn and beyond that. And so, I don't know. I just found some great opportunities with that mentality, even now, even at Duke. So I guess that'd be my key takeaway, is just like, maybe if there's something that you're like curious about or like you don't know about, just try it, see what happens. So that's what I would say.
That's definitely good advice. I echo that. I would say while at Southampton and in grad school or undergrad or in school in general, just to collaborate with your classmates, like lean on them. You guys have everyone's coming from different backgrounds. You have all different experiences. Some people are coming straight out of school. Some people are coming from a gap year. There's so many types of experiences to draw on and learn from and everything. And it's not an individual experience. Like, to get through the degree that really is needed to depend on and rely on and support your classmates and cohort. It was really the only way that I was made it through grad school as well. Is just the camaraderie that we all had and leaning on each other's experiences and knowledges and seeing things in different ways. And sometimes some people can explain something better or in a different perspective that will just click with another person. And it was the best thing ever. That would be my advice, to lean on your classmates.
My advice would probably be don't count yourself out and leave your expectations at the door. I think when looking at these competitive fellowships, it's easy to think, oh, like it's a waste of my time. Why should I do it? The acceptance rate is too low. But they have to give it to someone, like just like apply for it. And like I'm sure we were all surprised when we got it. That's just the way these things go. Don't let imposter syndrome stop you from trying to go for something you want to do. And then when coming to Southampton, a lot of people will tell you things about how they think your experience should be. A lot of people erroneously compare being an international student to being on exchange. We don't have that cohort of other Americans at the same university doing the same classes with them. And in some ways, that's maybe a bit more scary initially, but in other ways, it definitely enables more self-growth and enables you to get much more out of the experience culturally. Some people are going to be like, this is the best year of your life. You're going to travel to Europe every single weekend. You know, it's also okay to have ups and downs in this transition, and that's a beautiful part of it. So I wouldn't feel too much pressure to be like constantly making the most or like leaving Southampton to go explore other areas, because there's beautiful areas and a beautiful part of being in Southampton, a lesser known city, and just really integrating instead of just using it as a jumping point for different parts of like touristy Europe. So I've really enjoyed creating a sense of place here. And really integrating with the community.
Thank you so much for those. And thank you so much for kind of being open and honest, being uncomfortable with the situation that you put yourself in, and just kind of leaning on each other. And yeah, thank you for all of your answers. And I hope that was super informative for you guys who are here listening to us today. I'd like to thank Greg, Chloe, and Amanda for joining us. I know Amanda's been sat in a very warm car, so hopefully she's had the AC on.
I have. We're good now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And if you've got any questions, then feel free to. Our contact details are on the screen. If you've got any scholarship related questions in particular, I'm more than happy to forward them on to Sarah as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Southampton and Fulbright alumni. It's been wonderful listening to your experiences, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today. That marks the completion of this session of the Marshall Tuesday event. We're welcoming UCL next week, and we hope you guys will be able to join in. Till then, thank you very much for your time, and have a great start to your week. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.